Okay, you guys, I'm gonna be today doing introduction to the basics of CSS. I feel like I already did these, but it's for my homework, and somehow it's Code Camp is saying that I didn't do it. So I'm gonna have to do it again. This shouldn't take long, but it's good to refamiliarize myself, if that's a word, with CSS. I'm kind of haven't been coding that much, so I need to get back doing it every single day. I mean, I have been coding, but I haven't. I've been looking at tutorials and kind of like applying for I applied for this other one. It's called Generation USA. So I was kind of like waiting on them, but I need to continue and keep it up. So let me do my homework because it is actually due tomorrow. In the background, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and play this life after death situation. I know y'all might not be into that kind of stuff, but I listen to these stories often. And it's a new one that popped up on my YouTube page. So I'm going to be playing it in the background. I know I might get a copyright strike or whatever, but it doesn't really harm my page. It's just, I can't monetize this video or whatever, but I really want to hear this while I'm coding. So let's go to the first lesson. It should be pretty easy. This will be hard kind of though, because I have to sit up here and try to read while the video is going on. All right, let's change maybe I won't play it. Now let's change the color of some of our text. We can do this by changing the style of our H2 element. The property that is responsible for the color of an element's text is color style property. Here's how you would set your H2 element text color to blue. H2 style color blue. Note that it is a good practice to end inline style declarations with a change your H2 elements style so that its text color is red. What do I do with that? I mean, like, hello, where? Oh, my test. Change your H2. H2, where is that? You guys, I don't even see H2, like, literally. Oh, here it goes. All right, style. Why is this in all caps? Equals color. With CSS, there are 100 CSS properties that you can use to change the way an element looks on your page. When you entered H2 style color red, you were styling that individual H2 element with inline CSS, which stands for cascading style sheets. That's one way to specify the style of an element, but there's a better way to apply CSS. At the top of your code, create a style block like this, style, style. Inside that style block, you can create a CSS selector for all H2 elements. For example, if you wanted all H2 elements to be red, you would add a style rule that looks like this. Note that it's important to have blah, blah, blah. Delete your H2 element style attribute and instead create a style block. Add the necessary CSS to turn all H2 elements blue. All right, so they want us to erase what we just did, y'all. And then Where do we put this style element at? I mean, I guess I'll just put it wherever I can fit it. Classes are reusable styles that can be added to HTML. Here's an example, CSS class declaration, blue text. You can see that we've created a CSS class called blue text within the style tag. You can apply a class to an HTML element like this, h2 class blue text. Note that in your CSS style element, class names start with a period. In your HTML elements class attribute, the class name does not include the period. Inside your style element, change the h2 selector to red text and update the colors value from blue to red. And then classes allow you to use the same CSS style on multiple HTML elements. You can see this by applying your red text class to the first P element. Where is the first P element? Font size is controlled by the font size CSS property like this, H1 font size. Inside the same style tag that contains your red text class, create an entry for P elements and set the font size to You can set which font an element should use by using the font family property. For example, if you want to set your H2 elements fonts to sans serif, you would use the following CSS. Make all your P elements use the monopause font. Oops, they didn't say that. They said mono space. In addition to specifying common fonts that are found on most operating systems, we can also specify non-standard custom web fonts for use of our website. There are many sources for web fonts on the internet. For this example, we will focus on the Google Fonts library. Google Fonts is a free library of web fonts that you can use in your CSS by referencing the font's URL. So let's go ahead and import and apply a Google font. Note that if Google is blocked in your country, you will need to skip this challenge. To import a Google font, you can copy the font's URL from Google Fonts library, blah, blah, blah. Import the lobster font from your web page. Then use an element selector to set lobster as the font family for your H2 element. So let's go here, you guys, to, let me see what Beyonce is doing. Okay. Google Fonts. What do they want us to look at? Lobster. How do I get this information for lobster? Isn't that stuff on the side just like it would be for the other ones? I don't get it. So annoying. All right, you guys, I finally found it. Lobster. So we want to go back here, put it on the style sheet. Then we want to make our H2. Have Font family. Oopsies. I hope you see what I just did there. Hmm. Oh goodness. All right, so maybe this is it, you guys. This is just lobster by itself. Mm. Hmm. They said do it before the opening style. Hmm. A damn capital L. So it turns out what I had to do, you guys, is I had to put this up here, rel style sheet, type text, CSS. So it's very important to read over here. They want you to copy exactly what it says over there. All right, there are several default fonts that are available in all browsers. These generic font families include monospace, serif, and sans serif. When one font isn't available, you can tell the browser to degrade to another font. For example, if you wanted an element to use the Helvetica font, but degrade to the sans serif font when Helvetica isn't available, you will specify it as follows. Okay. Generic font family names are not case sensitive. Also, they do not need quotes because they are CSS keywords. To begin, apply the monospace font to the H2 element so that it now has two fonts, Lobster and monospace. All right. Oh, we need a comma right there. In the last challenge, you imported the lobster font using the link tag. Now comment out that import of the lobster font using HTML comments you learned before, the Google font, so that it isn't available anymore. Notice your H2 element degrades to the monospace font. If you have the lobster font installed on your computer, you won't see the degradation because your browser is able to find the font. All right, so they want us to comment this out. I forgot how you comment out something. Is this how you do it? Uh, what was I wrong? CSS has a property called width that controls an element's width. Just like with fonts, we'll use px pixels to specify the image's width. For example, if we wanted to create a CSS class called larger image that gave HTML elements a width of 500 pixels, we'd use larger image width 500 pixels. Create a class called smaller image and use it to resize the image so that it's only 100 pixels wide. All right, first let's find the image, you guys. So we're gonna give it a class, smaller image. Okay. So now we're gonna go up here and call smaller image. Oops. Oopsies. Come on. CSS borders have properties like style, color, and width. For example, if we wanted to create a red 5-pixel border around an HTML element, we could use this class, style, thin red border, border color red, border width 5 pixels, border style solid. Create a style called thick green border. The class should add a 10-pixel solid green border around the HTML element. Apply the class to your cat photo. Cat photo. Ew. Okay. Oh, so you just separate it with a space. I had a comma there, so yeah. All right, your cat photo currently has sharp corners. We can round out those corners with a CSS property called border radius. You can specify a border radius with pixels. Give your cat photo a border radius of 10 pixels. This challenge allows for multiple possible solutions. For example, you may add a border radius to either the thick green border class or the smaller image class. In addition to pixels, you can also specify the border radius using a percentage. Give your photo a border radius of 50%. All right, I sat up there and watched the near-death experience without you guys, so I won't get copywritten. Border radius value should use a percentage. Got it. Okay. You can't set an element's background color with a background color property. Oh, you can. For example, if you wanted an element's background color to be green, you'd put this within your style element. Green background color green. You do not have to do all of that. Just from my personal experience, like you don't have to make this be the selector. Create a class called silver background with the background color of silver. Assign this class to your div element. Okay, where's the div? So. In addition to classes, each HTML element can also have an ID attribute. There are several benefits to using ID attributes. You can use an ID to style a single element, and later you'll learn that you can use them to select and modify specific elements with JavaScript. ID attributes should be unique. Browsers won't enforce this, but it's widely agreed upon best practice. So please don't give more than one element the same ID attribute. Here's an example of how you give your HTML element the ID of cat photo app. Give your form element the ID of cat photo form. One cool thing about ID attributes is that, like classes, you can style them using CSS. However, an ID is not reusable and should only be applied to one element. An ID also has a higher specificity importance than a class, so both are applied to the same element and have conflicting styles. The styles of the ID will be applied. Here's an example of how you can take your element with the ID attribute of cat photo element and give it to the background color green in your style element. Cat photo element, background green. Note that inside your style element, you always reference class by putting a dot in front of their names. You always reference IDs by putting a number sign in front of their names. Try giving your form, which now has an ID attribute of cat photo, a green background. All right. So they want us to give that div a green one. I mean, is that what we named it for real? Cat photo form. Now let's put our cat photo app away for a little while and learn more about styling HTML. You may have already noticed this, but all HTML elements are essentially little rectangles. Three important properties control the space that surrounds an HTML element: padding, border, and margin. An element padding controls the amount of space between the element's content and its border. Here we can see that the blue box and the red box are nested within the yellow box. Note that the red box has more padding than the blue box. When you increase the blue box's padding, it will increase the distance padding between the text and the border around it. Change the padding of your blue box to match that of your red box. Where is the blue box? Okay. An element's margin controls the amount of space between an element border and the surrounding elements. Here we can see that the blue box and the red box are nested within the yellow box. Note that the red box has a bigger margin, making it appear smaller. When you increase the blue box margin, it will increase the distance between the border and surrounding elements. Change the margin of the blue box to match that of the red box. So as we can see, the red box has 20 pixels. Let's do that also. An element's margin controls the amount of space between an element's border and surrounding elements. If you set an element's margin to a negative value, the element will grow larger. Try to set the margin to a negative value, like the one for the red box. Change the margin of the blue box to be minus 15 or negative 15 pixels, so it fills the entire horizontal width of the yellow box around it. Okay. Blue box. Sometimes you will want to customize an element so that it has different amounts of padding on each of its sides. CSS allows you to control the padding of all 4 individual sides of an element with the padding top, padding right, padding bottom, padding left properties. Give the blue box a padding of 40 pixels top and left side, but only 20 on the bottom and the right side. Okay. I'm going to do something that is a little different, you guys. So I'm a little bit advanced in this area. So instead of writing out padding top, padding right, padding bottom, bottom left, all that, I'm going to do it a different way. Padding top and the right, let me see, give the blue box a padding of 40 pixels to the top. And on this top and left side. 20 pixels. That's not fair because, to be honest with you guys, in CSS, this is how it would be. I don't know why they're stopping me. They want me to write out all of this. Ugh. So annoying. I'm gonna need them to get with it. Top and left is 40. Okay. Sometimes you will want to customize an element so that it has a different margin on each of its sides. CSS allows you to control the margin of all 4 individual sides of an element with the margin top, margin right properties. Give the blue box a margin of 40 pixels on the top. Okay. I mean, it's the same thing. Instead of specifying an element's padding top, padding right, just like I had said before, you can do this instead. These 4 values work like a clock. Top, right, bottom, left will produce the exact same result as using the side specific instructions. Use the clockwise notation to give the blue box class a padding of 40. So let's write this out. See, you guys, this is what I was trying to do last time, but it wouldn't let me. I guess they wanted me to do it the hard way at first so that we can show you guys. So it's always going to be top, like clockwise. Padding top and left. 20 pixels. You can even do shorter than this, you guys, but I'll go with what they're trying to ask. Clockwise blue box padding of 40 pixels on the top and left, but only 20 pixels on the bottom and right. Let's try this again, but with margin this time. Instead of specifying an element's margin top, margin bottom, it's the same thing like the padding. These 4 values work also like clock work. Okay. Use the clockwise notation to give the element with the blue box margin. So top right, bottom left. You have been adding ID or class attributes to elements that you wish to specifically style. These are known as ID and class selectors. There are other CSS selectors you can use to select custom groups of elements to style. Let's bring out Cat Photo app again and practice using CSS selectors. For this challenge, you will use the ATTR value attribute selector to select the checkboxes in Cat Photo app. This selector matches and styles elements with a specific attribute value. For example, the below code changes the margins of all elements with the attribute type and the corresponding value of radio. All right, for this challenge, you will use attribute selector to style the checkboxes in Catbox. The selector matches and styles elements with a specific attribute value. For example, I see, attribute radio. So using the type attribute selector, try to give the checkboxes in Cat Photo app a top margin, blah, blah, blah. Oops. Oops. Top, right, bottom, left. I had to change it, you guys, from checks boxes to check box. All right, the latest several challenges all set an element's margin and padding with pixels. Pixels are a type of length unit, which is what tells the browser how to size or space an item. In addition to pixels, CSS has a number of different length units options that you can use. The two main types of length units are absolute and relative. Absolute units tie to physical units of length. For example, N and mm refer to inches and millimeters, respectively. Absolute length units approximate the actual measurement on a screen, but there are some differences depending on a screen's resolution. Relative units such as m and rem are relative to another length value. For example, m is based on the size of an element's font. If you use it to set the font size property itself, it's relative to the parent's font size. There are several relative unit options that are tied to the size of the viewport. They are covered in the responsive web design principles section. Add a padding property to the element with class red box and set it to 1.5 em. Now let's start fresh and talk about CSS Inheritance. Every HTML page has a body element. We can prove that the body element exists here by giving it a background color of black. We can do this by adding the following to our style element. All right. We can prove that the body element exists here by giving it a background color of black. We can do this by adding the following to our style element, body background black. Now we've proven that HTML element page has a body element in it and that its body element can also be styled with CSS. Remember, you can style your body element just like any other HTML element, and all your other elements will inherit your body element styles. First, create an H1 element with the text hello world. All right, yeah, let's get to coding. H1 elements. Then let's give all the elements on your page the color of green. By adding color green to your body element style. Finally, okay, let's do that first. Finally, give your body element a font family of no space. Sometimes your HTML element will receive multiple styles that conflict with one another. For example, your H1 element can't be both green and pink at the same time. Let's see what happens when we create a class that makes text pink, then apply it to an element. With our class override, the body element's color green CSS property. Create a CSS class called pink text that gives an element the color pink. Give your H1, okay. Our pink text class overrode our body element CSS declaration. We just proved that our classes will override the body element CSS. So the next logical question is, what can we do to override our pink text class? Create an additional CSS called blue text that gives an element the color blue. Make sure it's below your pink text class declaration. Okay, create an additional CSS class called blue text. Make sure it's below your pink text. Okay. We just proved that browsers read CSS from top to bottom in order of their declaration. That means that in the event of a conflict, the browser will use whichever CSS declaration came last. Ooh. Notice that if we even had put blue text before pink text in our H1 element, it was still, look at the declaration order and not the order of their use, but we're not done yet. There are other ways that you can override CSS. Do you remember ID attributes? Let's override your pink text and blue text classes and make your H1 element orange by giving the H1 element an ID and then styling that ID. Give your H1 element the ID of orange text. Yeah, because IDs have a bigger specificity, higher specificity, I should say. So we've proven that ID declarations override class declarations, regardless of where they are declared in your style element CSS. There are other ways that you can override CSS. Do you remember inline styles? Use an inline style to try to make our H1 element white. Remember, inline styles look like this. Leave the blue text and pink text classes on your H1 element. Yay, we just proved that inline styles will override all the CSS declaration in your style element. But wait, there's one last way to override CSS. This is the most powerful method of all. But before we do it, let's talk about why you would ever want to override CSS. In many situations, you will use CSS libraries. These may accidentally override your own CSS. So when you absolutely need to be sure that an element has specific CSS, you can use important. Let's go all the way back to our pink text class declaration. Remember that our pink text class was overridden by subsequent class declarations, ID declarations, and inline styles. Let's add the keyword important to your pink text element color declaration to make sure it's 100% that your H1 element will be pink. An example of how to do this is, all right, so pink. Okay. Did you know there are other ways to represent colors in CSS? One of these ways is called hexadecimal code, or hex code for short. We usually use decimals or base 10 numbers, which use the symbols 0 to 9 for each digit. Hexadecimals or hex are base 16 numbers. This means it uses 16 distinct symbols. Like decimals, the symbols 0 to 9 represent the values 0 to 9. Then A, B, C, D, E, F represent the values 10 to 15. Altogether, 0 to F can represent a digit in a hexadecimal, giving us 16 total possible values. You can find more information about it here. In CSS, we can use 6 hexadecimals, blah, blah, blah. Oh. All right, let's see what they want us to do. Replace the word black in our body element with same thing, right? To review hex codes, use 6 hex Okay, we're gonna just replace these because that's what they want us to do, obviously. So replace the color words in your style. So Dodger blue is the H1, which is red text. I am red. Green text. Orange. Dodger blue text is and then orange. Many people feel overwhelmed, blah, blah, blah. Go ahead, try using the abbreviation hex code to color the correct elements. So cayenne text is gonna be, green is going to be then this is fuchsia. And then this is red. Another way you can represent colors in CSS is by using RGB values. Yes, we know about those. Here's an example of how do you change the body background to orange. Let's replace the hex code in our body elements background color with the RGB value for black. Replace the hex code in our style element with their correct RGB values. So the red text would be RGB. Orchid would be uh-oh. That's not right. Sienna. And then blue. CSS variables are a powerful way to change many CSS style properties at once by changing only one value. Follow the instructions below to see how changing just 3 values can change the styling of many elements. In the penguin class, change the black value to gray. And the yellow value to orange. Okay. To create a CSS variable, you need to give it a name with 2 hyphens in front of it and assign it a value like this: penguin skin gray. This will create a variable named penguin skin and assign it the value of gray. Ooh, honey, this is sounding like JavaScript. Now you can use the variable elsewhere in your CSS to change the value of other properties to gray. In the penguin class, create a variable named penguin. After you create your variable, you can assign its value to other CSS properties by referencing the name you gave it. Background, variable, penguin skin, which is gray. This will change the background of whatever element you are targeting to gray because that is the value of penguin skin variable. Note that styles will not be applied unless the variable names are an exact match. Apply the penguin skin variable to background property of the penguin top. No, it said do it to this part. Of the penguin top, bottom, right, left hand classes. Oh, okay, so we're gonna do it to all of those then, huh? Where's the other arm? All right. When using your variables as a CSS property value, you can attach a fallback value that your browser will revert to if the given variable is invalid. This fallback is not used to increase the browser compatibility, and it will not work on IE browsers. Rather, it is used so that the browser has a color to display if it cannot find your variable. Here's how you do it. Background bar, penguin skin. This will set background to black if your variable wasn't set. Note that this can be useful for debugging. It looks like there's a problem with the variable supplied to the penguin top, penguin bottom classes. Rather than fix the typo, add a fallback value of black to the background property too. Okay. It looks like a variable is being used to set the background color of the red box class. Let's improve our browser compatibility by adding another background declaration right before the existing declaration. Set its value to red. How does this work? Sure about this one, you guys. This means that if you do want to provide a browser fallback, it's easy as providing another more widely supported value immediately before your declaration. That way an older browser will have something to fall back on, while a newer browser will interpret whatever declaration comes later in the cascade. It looks like a variable is being used to set background color of the red box class. I'm not sure how to do this, you guys. It seems like this would be how you did it, but all right, you guys. So I put background red. Let's see if this will work. Nope. This is the answer, but y'all, I had red right here, so let's try it now. I need to see where I'm at if I'm almost finished with this because it's time for me to go to bed. This was my homework for an assignment. So, let's see. $44 lessons. My goodness. I think I'm almost finished. Oh, I got 3 more to go. Thank goodness. All right, define a variable named penguin belly in the root selector and give it the value of pink. You can then see that the variable is inherited and that all child elements which use it get pink backgrounds. This is easy enough. I think this is how you do it. When you create your variables in root, they will set the value of the variables for the whole page. You can then override these variables by setting them again with a specific selector. Change the value of penguin belly to white in the penguin class. In the penguin class. All right, we're finished here. Use a media query to change a variable. In the root selector of the media query, change it so penguin size is defined and given a 200px. Redefine skin. Set it to black. All right, you guys, that's it for me. It's over. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.